We're joined now by Craig Gilbert, our Washington bureau chief, to talk about the polls and the debate a week later. So, Craig, it's been a week since that Republican debate we talked about last week. Impressions have settled in a little bit. How have they, turned out in the polls in terms of how Scott Walker is faring nationally?
Well, there's a suggestion in the polling that we've seen so far that he not only didn't get a bounce out of the debate, but he may have lost some ground. I mean, it's not the quantity and quality of polling you'd like to see yet. A lot of the national polls that have been done since the debate have been internet and robocalls, and so it's kind of a motley collection of data. There have been 3 Iowa polls done since the debate. Again, different methods, different quality. The latest one, CNN, has Walker actually slipping into 3rd place in Iowa behind Donald Trump and Ben Carson. The other 2 have Trump leading Walker in Iowa. Walker has been leading the polls in Iowa pretty consistently until now, so that's a change. I don't think Walker's underlying numbers have really changed. He's still got a really nice, lopsided favorability rating in Iowa. But I think the fact that he didn't make a strong impression in the debate, may turn out to be, in the short term, a negative for him.
Yeah, so is this a case where his numbers have actually declined a little bit, or is it simply that others have sort of jumped up and maybe gotten a bigger bounce than the governor did?
Yeah, it may be a little bit of both. I mean, you've got kind of a flattening of the race in some of the polling where the leaders, Jeb Bush, Donald Trump, and Scott Walker have slipped a little bit, and some people from the second tier are percolating up, like Carson and Carly Fiorina, maybe Marco Rubio. I mean, there's so many caveats that come with this discussion of the polling because A, it's so early in the process, and B, this sort of grab bag of polls, some of which are pretty poor, some of which are better. And then there's just the question of sort of what the polls are measuring at this point in time. I mean, a lot of the polls are capturing casual voters who are not people who are going to end up voting in the primaries and caucuses.
All right. So some of the instant punditry the morning and after the debate and even the night of was that this was a poor showing by Donald Trump, and he, some of the comments with Megyn Kelly, the Fox News host. I mean, does it surprise you that Donald Trump hasn't seen any decline in the polls apparently since the debate?
Well, it's even hard to say that because some of the polls that we're seeing now that are putting Trump ahead haven't polled in a while, so we don't know. It's possible that Trump actually has lost ground in some of these polls, but is still ahead of where he was 2 months ago. So it looks like he's continuing to gain. Again, Trump is still. It's surprising some people that he's not showing more slippage, but the fundamentals for Donald Trump remain really bad in the sense that, he's got high negatives. Even though in a state like Iowa he's leading in some of these polls, nobody thinks he's going to win the Iowa caucuses because he doesn't have an organization and because that small activist core of Republican caucus goers who are actually going to determine the Iowa caucuses, it's hard to imagine Donald Trump necessarily being their favorite candidate. So, you have to take all that stuff into account when you call Donald Trump the front runner. It's with a big asterisk.